So let's unpack a really fascinating idea. How do we unlock the massive amounts of data that are basically trapped inside scientific papers? I mean, think about it, a technology that could fundamentally change how we all interact with research.
You've totally been there, right? You're reading some groundbreaking study, and your mind is just racing with new questions, new ideas. But then you hit a wall. The article describes all this amazing data, but you can't touch it. You can't play with it. You can't build on it. There's this huge gap between reading about a discovery and actually, getting your hands on its foundation.
The best way to think about this is like getting a recipe for a truly amazing dish. The paper gives you all the steps, the methodology, the incredible results, but it doesn't give you the ingredients. And without the ingredients, the raw data, you can't really recreate the dish, let alone start experimenting with your own variations.
And look, this isn't some small niche problem. The vast majority of the original datasets behind published work are just not available. This means an incredible wealth of knowledge is effectively locked away in a vault. But why?
Now, to be fair, there are some pretty good reasons for this. Sharing raw data, especially in medicine, could violate patient privacy, and that's a huge deal. Sometimes the data is proprietary, right? It belongs to a company. And in other cases, the cost and just the practical headaches of hosting massive datasets are way too much for researchers to handle. So, if we can't get the original ingredients, what's the alternative? Well, this is where a really clever solution comes into play. Imagine an AI that can read the recipe, the research paper, and then generate a brand new, statistically identical set of ingredients completely from scratch. And what's so cool is, from your side of the screen, the solution is just ridiculously simple. You're reading an article online, you see this little icon next to it, and you click it. Boom! You get a dataset inspired by that paper. No complicated requests, no waiting for permission. So how does the magic actually happen behind the scenes? Well, first, the system basically vacuums up everything it can from the publication. The text, the tables, the charts, all of it. Then it uses some smart contextual modeling to figure out the key variables and, importantly, how they relate to each other. Based on that understanding, it generates a completely new, totally synthetic dataset and delivers it right to you. And the crucial part? It does all of this without ever seeing the original private data. And what you get back isn't just a wall of text. It's a clean, structured table of data. You can see the variables, like age and treatment, and the charts show that the statistical distributions are a match for what was described in the paper. It really looks and feels like the real thing. Okay, so we've recreated the ingredients. The dish the AI made looks pretty good on the plate. But here's the billion-dollar question. Does it actually taste the same? Can we really trust this synthetic data for serious analysis and research? And this, right here, is the critical turning point. Because if the synthetic data isn't reliable, if it doesn't accurately capture the complexities of the original, then it's just a clever toy. For this whole idea to be truly useful, the data has to be rock solid. And that opens up a whole new can of worms, a whole new set of challenges. You see, a simple generator might get the basics right, but the real world is messy. It's not enough to just match the average age in a study. You have to preserve all those complex correlations, like how in the real world, age and disease risk are connected. You have to be able to pull information from all kinds of scattered sources, like PDFs and Excel files. And for real science, you absolutely need reproducibility, the ability to generate the exact same dataset over and over again. So to solve these much, much harder problems, we need to graduate from a simple recipe reader to a true master chef's toolkit. This is the next evolution of the technology, a far more advanced system, one that's designed to create high-fidelity, research-grade synthetic data. And the difference? Honestly, it's night and day. Where the basic generator was just kind of inspired by the text, the advanced generator is engineered to preserve precise statistics. It doesn't just spit out a data file. It can actually generate the Python or R code you need to reproduce it yourself. And most importantly, it's built to model those subtle, complex correlations that make data feel real. And the scale here is, well, it's just wild. Check out this example. The system took the documents from a single clinical study, one that originally had about 5,000 patient admissions. And from that, it generated a high-fidelity synthetic dataset with over 150,000 admissions. So it's not just recreating the data, it's expanding on it in a statistically valid way. Now, you might see some technical terms here like Gaussian copulas and think, whoa, what does that even mean? Don't worry about the jargon.
This is just the fancy statistical machinery the system uses to learn all those hidden relationships between the variables. It's how it makes sure the final data doesn't just look right on the surface, but that it feels right because all the connections within the data are realistic. And this toolkit is just packed with other really smart features. It's got built-in quality control, so it automatically throws out impossible data points, like a person with a negative age. It can even pull in external knowledge from places like PubMed to make the data even more robust. And, like we said, it generates code, giving users total control and transparency.
So when you put all of this together, you have something that's, well, it's truly transformative. This isn't just about making one paper's data available. It's about creating a future where every single piece of published research becomes an interactive tool for exploration and discovery. The implications here are just huge. I mean, it democratizes research, allowing a student or a citizen scientist to dig into the data behind a major study. It can accelerate discovery by letting researchers immediately test a new idea on a dataset that mirrors a published one. And it creates amazing new tools for education and for software development, giving them an endless supply of realistic but totally anonymous data to work with. So let's just end with this question. Imagine a world where every article and every report doesn't just give you a conclusion, but it actually hands you the tools to explore it, to question it, and to build upon it yourself. What new connections would we make? What breakthroughs are just sitting there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the data to finally be unlocked?